Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Plastic Hype. This is Plastic Hype number 6. Thanks again for everyone who's joining us today. Oh, I almost knocked my cup over. Too much hype. Um, right. What was I saying? Yes. Welcome back to another episode of Plastic Hype. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, basically, this is my 30 minutes of appreciation back to this amazing hobby, to the products and the companies out there, as just rounding out what's exciting in the hobby world, so I can share that love back to the community. Hopefully, bring a little bit more attention to the things that it's really cool to help us all out. Because I really think this plastic hobby is really fun and it's really healthy. Surprise, surprise. So we cover stuff with Age of Sigmar, a lot of Warhammer stuff because that's my current favorite war game, and then also various projects in the Kickstarter community, and then also at the end of the show. Of the 30 minutes, these shows are 30 minutes. I forgot to mention that before, since I almost wet my entire working area. Yes, so at the end of the show, we also go with hobby roundup tip and what I've been up to for the people who's following our channel. And last but not least, a community shout out where I pick, we as in me, because I'm the only one who's running this. Um, what was I saying? Yes. So where we give a shout out to my favorite content creator that I really like. And hopefully you guys will enjoy that too. So without further ado, let's go ahead to the Plastic Hype Show. Alrighty. So what we have got right now is in the world of Age of Sigma, recently, Adepticon, which I covered in the last episode, was reviewing a whole bunch of new models. I mean, in between that and now, various things been discussed in the community. Basically, first up, I would say it again. This is a great time to get into a Warhammer Age of Sigma because it's so much fun. It's got so much variety. It basically wouldn't get dry. Yes, they're meta lists. Meta is in something that works statistically really well. May not be the most enjoyable, but gaming, every game has it. It's just going for that ultimate combo. So this game does have those meta lists, which means you could see similar lists. When you play different people and competitions, but there are 24 factions and it keeps refreshing a different part of the system, like different armies, different what they call tomes. Um, so that has all the army specific updates, and then they've got a more wider set of updates. We call them General's Handbook. So it's new stuff all the time. It's a great time to get into the game for the people who's watching but haven't really considered, or you guys might have played Age of Sigmar a while ago, and now might be a good time to go back. So anyway, back to the Adapticon and what's been talked about recently is, yes, there are 4 new books coming now. So we can have a look at the spring section. We've got Corn, which we talked about last time, and Slanesh, we've also talked about last time. And now they've just teased us with 2 new ones, and that's Ossiarch Bone Reapers and Soulbright Gravelord. And then next segment, I guess about a middle of the year. By the way, this is like, I guess, American timeline. Summer is the opposite of us, who's in Australia. So this is talking about June, July period. So they're going to have Seraphon's new book, one unknown book, and then a new General's Handbook. What's new of the General's Handbook is there has been a rumor going on around the internet saying that the General's Handbook now, instead of going from every half yearly, it's going to be back to yearly again. So that is, I guess, better bang for our buck because you don't have to keep buying a new General's Handbook to stay up to date and current. And then also, it really gives us more of a chance to learn the rules. I think that's really important to have fun. You really want to get to a certain level of game mastery, knowing what the game does. And I think slowing down Genuine Handbook is going to be a very welcoming change. And then they also teased one set of, 3 models inside the City of Sigma, which you can see those beautiful minis on the right hand side. I quite like them because I didn't used to play Cities of Sigma. People call them cities for short. It's a really different look. So if I was a cities player, because I Googled what they look like. I'm not sure if I'm too happy about that because now it looks, I guess, more realistic, more gritty, and not the same as before. Anyway, I think that's interesting. So, what's the most interesting thing about the new roadmap and I guess news to do with Age of Sigma? And that is not Age of Sigma. It's really from 40K. In 40K, they talked about having new and free rules being released in the next season. So the next edition of 40K is coming, and with that, they're going to release new rules for free. So what that means is, when we say rules in the world of Warhammer, in Age of Sigma, they call them battle tomes. So that's these books, and in 40K, they call them codexes. So now the codex is going to be free. I don't know whether that's going to happen for Age of Sigma. But either way, that is a great hype to the hobby. So I hope they really do get through to the free phase of the hobby. All right. So that's something to look forward to. Now, what is next? I have got some new Seraphon that's been showing in the Adepticon. Well, on the left hand side, we've got some Egredon Lancer. Sorry, the one in the white. I think they're going to be pretty cool. It's been labeled as shock cavalry, so I imagine they might run something like a Fulminator, maybe something very hard hitting and fast. Actually, if they're hard hitting and fast, maybe not necessarily a Fulminator. Fulminator is my favorite unit in the Stormcast list. Um. Anyway, and then they also released another one. They call them Croxigor's Warspawn. I'm not sure whether I'm saying it right, but I think they are kind of like the Annihilators, without the big shield, but they have a big club. So crocodiles, cool. So that's hype. And also, what's super hype is they are releasing a new army box. And what's in it? You can see in the middle there, we've got Slan, the Star Master, and then 10 Saurus Warriors, and then 5 Raptidon Chargers. And you can build them either as Charger or Hunters. So that's pretty cool. And those are guys are back there. So I look forward to this box. I'm not sure when I'm going to be getting it. I know I have a friend that's probably going to be buying it as soon as it's dropped. I don't know. It depends how much the price of the box is, I guess. But I like the new artwork of this box. I think there's something cool that they're doing. So I look forward to it. Hype. All right, what's next? Now let's talk about the two new reviews, I guess, in the Adepticon. So so here's the thing for people who didn't know about it. Everyone thinks, well, I am amongst those people. A lot of us in the AoS community think that the new book is going to be released is going to be FEC, Fresh Eater Corpse, FEC, FEC. But what happened is they were released a long time ago, and basically they haven't had an update for since ever. And I think they only have like 3 units in their whole roster. Ridiculous. So of course, hyping new Warhammer new releases, we all thought that's going to be it. Surprise, surprise! That wasn't it. They didn't release that, and I got to refresh. So Bright Gravelord and Ozark Bone Reapers instead. I thought that was kind of funny, and it's kind of a little bit of a slap in the face for the people who have Fresh Eater Courts. In fact, I do see people selling those models quite recently. A lot of people are releasing their Fresh Eater Courts units, so which is a shame. But I guess that's cool. So right, okay. I'm just gonna change my light a little bit because I switched out a camera between this one and the last one, and I'm just trying some new things here. Anyway, okay, so I think the bright is better. I'm not super overexposed. I can see my face. That's great. I'm just checking myself. Okay, all right, that's great. So what they released in the Adepticon is they just tease us 2 models and what they look like. So this is the new guy from Ozark Bone Reapers. I'm not entirely sure what he is, but it might be pretty much the same model. Bone Mason, maybe. I mean, looking at what he's building here, I would have to say it's a cool model, but I just don't know about the War Scroll. So you can see that he's kind of animating with some dark energy, death energy, animating a new warrior. So that's kind of cool. But this one is cooler because looks like she's a vampire that can turn to bats. Or maybe the bats is like an attack. I don't know, maybe a 12-inch range attack. Whatever it might be, I think that's cool. Now, some people absolutely hate those bats, but I think they're super cool. I like them. But other than that, we don't really know anything. All we know is we can pre-order them soon, and that's nothing new, I guess. But I'm hyped about it because I have been interested in So Bright Gravelord. Now, one of the biggest hype for me when it's up to these two battle tomes is this means they have a chance to rework Nagash, and I really would hope they rework Nagash. For those of you who don't know, Nagash is like the god of death in this lore. At least that's how I think about it. He basically is the boss of all the entire death faction. That includes Ossiarch Bone Reapers, Soul Bright Gravelord, Fresh Eater Corpse we just talked about, and another one it was Night Haunt that's been refreshed a while back. And he's a god. He's a super boss. Cool model. Okay, a little bit old. But what happens is he's like this 900-point giant that doesn't do much at the moment, which is very sad. So no one plays him. Pretty much no one plays him. People just sell him. So I really hope they rework him. Hype. So we'll see what comes out of that one. All right. And what's next? We have got Underworld. So this one is the new Warhammer Underworld. Weird Wood. I don't know how to say it, but anyway, I'm going to say Word Hollow. Sorry, I just called it Wood. I mean Hollow. Word Hollow. So this is Domintan's Storm Coven, and that's the Storm Guard. It's the Storm Cast on the left. I think they're super cool because they actually look like Knight Arcanums, if I'm not mistaken, or Evocators. They look more like a Knight Arcanum to me. And if they have a warband of Knight Arcanum, what that could mean is in the future they might release a unit with multiple Knight Arcanums. They'll probably call it something different, but that's cool. I look forward to that. And then we have Elphilim's Pentangulum, Pandemonium. Oh my goodness. My reading skills gone down 3 levels. So this is the Alphalim's Pandemonium. And this warband is Cinch, and this model is just cool. So she looks like a caster wizard that does really funky spells. And all the models behind, which is, I guess, a little bit blurred out, I really like Chaos Spawns, and that's cool. That's how I kind of picture this faction. So they say. Underworld has the best models of Age of Sigmar. Looking at these two, I can't disagree with that. They look really awesome. So I'm hyped for that. Now, all right, moving on to the next thing, because there hasn't been too many models dropped. And so I had a look at what else is new around the neighborhood, and I found these. First of all, a quick shout out. These stats that come from the Bells of Lost Souls, and I thought it's interesting, so I had read, and I decided to post it and share it with you. So this is the most up-to-date stats, because today is the 2nd of April, coming from the Best Coast Pairings, which is an app or a program or platform, if you guys like to think about it. For any competitions, people put their list and data into here. So this gives us a good representation of the competitive scene and what people are playing and what's been winning. So surprisingly, the most played list right now is the Stormcast Eternal. I think last week it was Slave to Darkness. Now it's moved to Stormcast Eternals, and Gitz is still second. I think that's pretty cool, I guess. All my friends have been telling me they're just super overwhelming. There's practically no answer to them yet, or at least we don't know of one. But anyway, they've got a cool refresh, so I think they deserve the center stage right now. So that's cool. Right now, we've got Stage of Darkness on 3rd. Last week, it was first. So Stormcast and Safe Darkness switched. Ogres are still number 4. And now number 5 is Lumineth, where last week it was Sylvaneth. And number 6 is Nighthaunt on both weeks. Number 7, Sylvaneth now. Last week used to be Lumineth. And then 7, 8, 9, 10 is where we see a bit more change. And now it's Singe on 8, where it used to be Fire Slayers. And 9 of this week, we've got Nurgle. It's the same as last week. But Overlords is now number 10. But last week, it used to be Deepkin. So I thought that was interesting. Now, the most wins, surprise, surprise. I thought it would be Gits, but it's actually Slave to Darkness because last week it was Gits. This week is Slave to Darkness. And then number 2 is Stormcast. Huh. Surprised to see that. And last week it was Slave to Darkness. So I'm not going to go through every one of these, but I thought it's interesting that Stormcast is winning this, getting the second most wins, and Gits is actually number 3. I guess there are not a lot of players in Gits, but then the stats would tell us differently, right? Because right now we've got lots of people playing Gits, and that's still number 3. So if the Slave to Darkness and Stormcast is coming out on top, I guess either it's a demographical thing, or the good players in Slaves and Stormcast have an answer to Gits. Who knows? But that's also one of the favorite things I have on Age of Sigmar. There's so much meta in there. There's so much exciting gameplay and smarts you can do. It's really kind of exciting, as in you can spend hours one night just looking at the list. I think that's really cool. So you can like think of an answer to an unbeatable army like Gits, and obviously someone worked it out. So yeah, good on you guys. All right, jumping to the next part of the plastic hype. Let's run into the second part of the segment now. So we're stepping away from Age of Sigmar. Yes, for those of you who follow me before, I don't do 40K. They do have, okay, honorable mention to the 40K community. So they released a lion. For the people who don't know what that means, you might want to look it up. A lion in 40K. Why I thought he's cool is his sculpt is really cool. And he reminded me of Tywin Lannister. All right. Now that you've heard me say it, maybe you can't unsee it when you see lions. I don't know. So have a look. The lion model in 40K. Check that out. All right. Jumping into what I think is exciting in the GameFound world. There aren't too many this roundup, surprisingly, in the last couple of weeks. This is probably the biggest one in GameFound that excites me anyway, and that's Elder Scrolls, because I am okay. Well, it's not a secret. I'm gonna say I am 42 this year. So if you can work backwards on my age, you can probably figure out I used to play a lot of computer games around my prime days, and of course, Elder Scrolls was one of them. I was never good at it. It was just too big for me. Now, anyway, fast forward 20 years, they have this game now. So, Elder Scrolls, first of all, the most important stats is at the moment, it's got about 2.5 million US dollars backed. That's pretty cool. Of course, it's also successful in the first 2 minutes. Yeah, sure. And it's got over 8,000 backers. So it's got substantial weight and investment behind this game. Now, what I've got here on the first screen is Elder Scroll to me is the ultimate RPG at the time, because you could literally be anybody with different background and different classes, different stats. The game would play out differently based on what choices you make. How cool is that? Now, what they've done here is I've just got a snapshot of what they have got here in terms of the races. You have lots of different races off the bat. Now, this is what's on the GameFound page now. I am highlighting this because as we go through the campaign, because it's still got, I think, a couple of weeks to go, more races will be unlocked, which means you're going to get even more than this. But just looking at what we've got now, here we've got a different gender on the race, and I think the stats are exactly the same, right? 5-1-2-2-1, and all of these are different, although they didn't release it, or at least you can't find it on the main page. That is very cool. So if you want to play warrior, well, you go warrior. You want to play a assassin. I like assassins. I like damage dealing. We can go for that. And then there are lots of customizations that you can have in between as well. So I think that's cool. Now, what else? I've just took a couple of animated pictures on here to highlight how it's potentially played. So you have a lot of modular terrain in this game, which is cool. So that means you have lots of combinations and replayability in the game, and you kind of move your tokens, in this case, your characters around the board, and then as you go through the edge of the board, you review a card, and then you show some more stuff. Now, I guess there's pros and cons to this. The pro is there's a lot of replayability, and you can potentially homebrew your own version of the game, which means you buy a game and you get to play it multiple ways. I think that's cool. But what is also cool is you could really go random. Like you like the game system, you like the characters, you like the lore. So you take all the good stuff, and then you could just randomly draw different tiles and different counters. And I think that could be really fun for the people who like this kind of game. Now, why is that important? Is because the pricing of this game, which I have to talk about. Yeah. So although I do get hyped over the thought and the premise of of course, the IP and what it offers, the base game starts at 195 US dollars. That's the base pledge. I don't know what you think. I think substantial, right? It's substantial. Now, you can go for the gameplay bundle, which gives you the Valen Wood expansion, which is the newest one, and that goes for 230. Now, if you go the next level, you can go 400 USD all in, and that will get you all the gameplay stuff, plus a lot of bells and whistles like dice tray, mats, and all those things. That's you know, I don't know. It's nice to show off your bling bling, but it doesn't add other value. I think that's interesting because that's quite steep. $200 as a starting point is quite high. So I'm surprised that it's got 8,000 backers straight off. I'm guessing it's a lot of people like myself who grew up with Elder Scrolls. And so, yeah, you just want to play it. You want to feel that nostalgia again. And that's cool, right? You know, but as a game, I don't know. Now, I took another screenshot here because I think it's interesting to highlight is what's the replayability of this game? Because if you spend hundreds of dollars on it, this is 195 as the base once again, and then you got to pay shipping, which means it's going to be at least I don't know 50 to 80 USD. Looking at the campaign these days, that's a significant amount of investment. So I hope they can, give you a lot of replayability, and they seem to do that, right? So they're saying um, they've got lots of encounters, in this case 85 specifically. They've got 50 bag drawn quest enemies. Bag drawn means totally random. You put your hand in the bag and you draw one out, and then you battle them. That's cool. And you've got 15 side quests. So side quests, for the people who are not into this jargon, is optional quest and storyline that you can play. So I think that's cool. And their mechanic is you pick a starting race, you pick a starting location, and then you go through a number of days. I think it's like 12 days. And every day you can decide to do something. You can go into town and, bargain for some equipment and items, or you can go to the forest and fight and do your quest, that kind of thing. So you've got a lot of options. I think that's pretty cool. And then once you finish the first 12 days, I think they bring you to the end game. And the end game is, I guess, is more scripted boss fight where you got to do a lot of keyword checks and stats check, and then you do battle. I think it's kind of cool in the sense that every game you're gonna have 12 days, and I guess one session you can play one day. So for groups who play with friends like me, you might play one game a week. So 12 weeks it's going to be over, or 12 weeks and then end game, and it's going to be over. I think that's kind of cool compared to something like Gloomhaven, and I mentioned that because I think it's still the number one game on Board Game Geeks. It's just got so much content. Once you get into the game, half your life is gone for the foreseeable future, and this is not like that. So I do like that. But yeah, once again, I reference back to the Gloomhaven because the cost is very similar. So, well, anyway, for the people who's interested, there you go. You might want to check it out. I will update the show notes after this, after I have dinner, after tonight's chat. All right. Next hype. What else have we got here? Battletech, mercenaries. Oh, I don't know, you guys. I grew up with Mech Warrior stuff, and oh, I forgot that game. It was like a RTS version of the Mech Warrior. For the people who's watching, someone's watching here. I don't know if you know that game. I can't remember. I think it's called Mercenary. No, Mech Warrior Tactics. No. Anyway, whatever it's called, it used to be a tactical game on the Mech Warriors. Now, why is Mech Warrior cool for the people who don't know about it? Mech Warrior essentially are these gigantic robots akin to Gundams, but I guess more grounded in terms of weight. They don't fly around like Gundams do. Some of the robots do have jetpacks. So if you can see, like this guy here, he's got a jetpack. Or either he was shot from the sky. I don't know, whatever. But there's some flying in here, more like jumping as opposed to flying. So this game emphasized on, well, in the old days, emphasized on payload. So you customize your mech fully in terms of where do you want your armor plating? What kind of weapons do you want? Do you want ballistics like a big cannon, or do you want missiles, or do you want laser weapons? And they all have their pros and cons. So depending on your depending on your own play style, you can customize your mech to your heart's content. And I think that is so cool. I used to have this Alpha Strike mech where if I can do 2 focus fire hits and it would blow up their cockpit. It was just so satisfying. Of course, that doesn't happen very often. I was that good at it, but it was just so much fun. So this is Mech Warrior. But anyway, Battletech is basically that, but tactical. Yeah. So this game is played on hexes, and it's just a whole bunch of them. So for the people who don't know this, this is by Catalyst Game Labs, which you can look up after the show, of course. It's a follow-up to the campaign back in 2019, I believe. And this game currently, as you can see on the top left here, they've got over 7 million Australian dollars already, with almost three times as much as Elden Ring. Elder Scroll, not Elden Ring. Sorry. Elden Ring is taking over my life. Elder Scroll, like it's got 17,000, almost 18,000 backers as of today. That's huge. What does that mean, right? That means if you buy this game, you're far more likely to find someone to play with you and other enthusiasts in the community to make it more exciting. Because if you play by yourself, that's all right. If you can get friends to play with, that's even better. If you can get a big group of people to play, that's hype. That's awesome. So that's what that's about. Now, this game starts at $15. All right, sorry. Let me rephrase. This campaign starts at $15, where you get a novel. Yeah, you don't get to play, but you get a novel, so you can, I guess, identify some of these mechs. And then at $35, you're in the recruit pledge. You get, quote unquote, I quote, is a beginner's box. They actually called it a beginner's box. All right, plus a mercenary salvage box. So better than nothing. But the real one actually starts at $80, where you get the Battletech Mercenary core game, and then you get a digital novel. You get a Timberwolf, and Timberwolf is the name of one specific mech, and you get a challenger coin. So at least you can play a little bit, right? So that's starting with $80 USD. Excuse me. And then the next level up, you're going with the company level, and that's US $150. You get everything I just mentioned before, plus 2 force packs. And so, what are force packs? Force packs are kind of like mercenary forces. You can think of them. So, specific combination of different mechs, and to join your company. I think that's pretty cool. Now that got all the way up to the regiment pledge, which is $500 and up, and you get everything we've mentioned before, plus 12 force packs instead of 2 at the $150 mark. Now they also had a grandfather everything pledge, but that's gone now, so there's no point talking about that. So at $500, you get 12 force packs in the core game and a whole bunch of swag. I think it's cool. Now I don't know many people who loved Mech Warriors, got a chance to play Battletech and didn't like it. I mean, they may not still not play it because the community, is very community based, right? If you got the game, you got no one to play with, you probably have it sitting around and then you end up selling it. So that's a thing. But I think this game is pretty popular. So this is hype. Like this is very exciting for me. I hope I'm still thinking about it. I'm not sure if I'll back it. I've got way too much Age of Sigmar stuff right now, so I probably won't back it now. But it's still exciting to know that this exists and I can buy it later, right? So that's cool. So this is Battletech Mercenaries. All right. I've got one more for us next, and this is the Last Kingdom board game. Why do I even have this on Plastic Hypers? Yes, they do have plastic. Yeah. So I took a screenshot of some of their miniatures. I think that's cool. Now, for the people who don't know them, they make a whole series of tiny games, and I mean tiny both literally and figuratively. They have a brand called Tiny. So they've got these things called Tiny Epic Dungeon, Tiny Epic Pirates, Tiny Epic blah blah blah. So it's Tiny Epic everything. Now, what's different about these games, the Tiny series, from this creator, is that they do pack a lot of content and I guess IP, the game mechanics into a tiny little box. Now, if you can see my hand that I've just got over my face now, I'm trying to simulate how big the size of those boxes are. They're tiny. So what's good about them is you can really travel with them. Like you can bring them everywhere with you. So I mean, you can't play a game if you don't have the goods, right? But this game doesn't have any of that. So I think that's cool. What I don't like about it is, well, don't like it as much about it is these miniatures are literally tiny because if the whole game box is the half of my face size, which is not that big. The miniatures are really tiny, and maybe I have bad eyes or something. Like I just can't see them very well. So I am not too keen on the miniatures. But then again, it's a miniature game. So the last campaign I backed off them was Tiny Epic Dungeons. It turned out it played quite well. Um, Now, let's define that for the people who might be interested in backing this. This is relevant information. So, Tiny Epic Dungeons play between an hour and a half. I can play it solo. I play with my 7-year-old son, Levi, best son ever. And we can have a good time. The mechanics is deep enough for us to think about what to do, but it's not hard enough that we constantly go back and what does this do again? What does, I don't know, invigorate X do? Like, there's not too much of that. So once we got a couple of sample games in, we could play. And I think for the people who likes this type of game, it really fits into that category of, yeah, I'm going to the pub, I'm going to meet some friends. Well, let's bring something to play. You could do that. Not that I'm saying I always go down to the pub with a board game in my hand, but I'm just saying it's doable. So that's a thing. And people have painted these minis. As you can see, even though the miniatures might be small, people still paint them fine, right? Give them a bit of color and they look great. And then you can play around with them on this game board that you can kind of see on the left hand side. Imagine that would be tiny as well because they got to fit in the box. So I think that's cool. It doesn't have too many backers yet. I think Last Kingdom is kind of niche as well. It's interesting they went that way, but I guess it's an IP that people know about to bring more people into the board game. I think it's cool. I don't watch Last Kingdom. I still think it's cool. So there you go. All right, so that pretty much rounds up for the all the plastic hype I have on the game side, and we've got a few minutes left on the show. So let's talk about what I've been up to lately. So what's up, Johnny? I'm John, by the way, so that's why it's what's up, Johnny. So I've been trying to bring the evocators on Draculon back. I've had this box that you can see the little corner on the side there. I've got my evocators for a while. I just never did anything with them because I couldn't figure out a way to play them. But that doesn't matter anymore. I think they're cool. They're dragons. They're kind of dragons, so I'm going to play them. So I've just put them together last Friday night. So I'm going to paint them and I'm going to play them. So that's what I'm what I've been up to. And I'm starting to play again. I've missed a lot of games last month, so I want to get more game on the table. So that's what I'm up to as well. Now, this is the hobby tip of the month. I think it's cool and relevant because I am building the evocators, and this is what I'm up to. So I think for the people who don't know what slap chop is, this is it. So slap choppers, you have the basic model, which are in gray plastic. You prime them black, and then you get a dry brush. Let me see if I can find a dry brush on my table. Yeah. All right. I have a drying brush here. Yep, you can see it on my face. This is a cheap Amazon 99-cent makeup brush, I think. And I just put some really dirt cheap white paint on it, and I just brush it for, I don't know, I think I did it for like 10-15 minutes, and that's what it looked like. So what's the point of slap chopping? Slap chopping is the process of giving your models, like these ones we have on screen, the illusion of depth. That's giving us the black background or the base of black, and where's the raised area, or the more raised area, the brighter it gets, like these bright white bits I've got here. Let me see if I can point them out. Like here you can see some bright white bits and bright white bits. Now, why is that important? That's important for a lot of us on the internet looking for painting tips, enjoy painting, but doesn't paint like a pro painter like Squidma or Ninjon or all those other people out there who spend their life painting models. I just like my models to look cool. I don't need to spend my life on it, and this laptop really helps. Now, to give you an idea, I mean, I've got an S. I've got Miss Soulbright here. I don't know if you can see on my face here. So I painted her, I don't know, a year ago. It's been a while now. I think she is pretty cool. I really like her. I'm showing you this to show you that I'm not a great painter, but I do enjoy the process. Now, what the slap chop allows you to do once you've done this highlight of high white and darker colors, you can just put a thin layer of paint on it. Particularly if you do something like contrast or speed paint or anything, or scale 75's instant paint or anything similar to that. If it's uh, if it's not going to cover the entire base area, like it's a little bit see-through, transparent. I don't know what the technical word is, translucent. If your paint doesn't block everything underneath, if you put a layer of paint, like when I start to put blue here, I don't have to worry about highlights, and it will still look good. That's what I'm saying. It will just look good after I put one layer of paint on. Now, why is that important? To give you guys a bit of context, I think I spent 2 hours highlighting a couple of crew boys the other night, because the crew boy models do look very cool, and they've got lots of bits and bobs on them. It just takes ages. Now, if you don't want to do any of that, you just want your model to kind of look cool, that you like looking at when you play them, or just have them on the shelf, slap chopping them is a great way to go. That's all I'm saying. All right. So that's the hobby tip of the month. Now, the last one is the community shout out of the month. And surprise, surprise, this is Rob the Honest Wargamer. For those of you who don't know him, you're probably not in the Age of Sigmar community, but if you are and you don't know him, please check him out. He's very cool. Now, for the people who don't know him and don't play Age of Sigmar, couldn't care less, how's he useful? Well, he did come up with the slap chop technique. The best part about this whole video, which is not very long, came out about a year ago, is he presented it really well. At the time when I came across this video, I didn't actually care about who he was or what he has to say, but how he presented it was funny enough and engaging enough that I ended up watching this video, and I found Slapchop. So I take no credit in creating Slapchop whatsoever. Those of you who are watching this probably know of Slapchop already. So Rob came up with Slapchop, and he streamlined it, made it consumable for mere mortals like ourselves who doesn't have a lifetime of spare time to paint models. He makes it easy. So I would totally recommend you to check him out. Not just on the slap chop, he also talks a lot a lot about wargaming and the hobby side of things. So if you like that kind of stuff, you might find some of his content interesting as well. So there you have it. That's your 2-week roundup on Plastic Hype. We went slightly over 30 minutes, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Today we've got more people watching live than last week, so I thank you for that. Even though you guys are being very kind and not pointing out a lot of problems with my presentation in the chat, I appreciate your time, right? And thanks for being here. So if you have any interesting thoughts or you like what you see, do leave a like and subscribe or a comment. It really helps our channel. I don't get paid on any of this anyway. I just hope some of these stuff is interesting to you, or you get to laugh about my poor painting. Actually, talking about laughing, I've got Estria so bright here. I think it's terrible that her wand, I don't know if you can see this, her staff, not wand, now it's turned to a wand because I cracked it, unfortunately. Anyway, so thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you guys again next time. Let's level up together, have fun in the hobby, and let's hype for more plastic, because this way the marketplace will make us more plastic to hype about. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.